So if we would talk about binding constraints, what are the binding constraints in education? There are a number of them, but I think I would like to really focus particularly on one specific area, and that is teacher quality. As I mentioned earlier in a presentation today, that you cannot win a war unless you train your army, and our teachers are the key agents for change with respect to providing quality learning and education for children. And really thinking innovatively around what does it mean to change quality. And I really feel like this is a key area that has to shift. It requires a large amount of collaboration amongst various groups, government, institutions that are providing initial teacher education, schools themselves that provide places for teacher training, because we have to start remodeling what excellence looks like. In a context where the majority of teachers are coming out of dysfunctional schools, we have to give them a new frame of reference for what excellence and quality looks like. And there are very few places which actually do this. How can you get an example of what is excellent teaching unless you've seen it? And I really think that's an area where funding could be put into, is really building schools which could be centres that model excellent teaching, that is appropriate, that is appropriate for certain class sizes, which often are much larger in certain school contexts, and we have to gear ourselves towards those things and the context that we see in these type of schools. So that really, I believe, is the binding constraint, and considerable amount of resource, energy, and time is going to be required to shift that. I think one would have to ask an education specialist around what it means to implement a really effective teacher development program. But the passion or the motivation or the desire to teach is hopefully something that is not happens at a moment or later on in life, that it's something that will hopefully be birthed amongst younger people. And I do wonder sometimes whether we are doing enough to encourage young people to see education as a place that they could put their energies and their efforts. I never knew that what I do, for example, was a potential career pathway. That was never on the table as a teen or even in my early 20s, that this was a potential career that I could be involved in and potentially be passionate about. And I do wonder if we need to start, if we could shift the position that we have around teachers, the dialogue around teachers, which is often one that is not a professional dialogue, and going, this is a really unbelievable profession, it's a vocation. And if we could really shift that dialogue around how we think about teachers, I wonder if it would start to attract another cohort, a younger cohort at much younger ages, to change their perceptions. Because trying to shift the motivation or the sense of passion for something, I think that's very difficult. You've got to rather get the right people into the position to start with. And the same goes for, we want leadership and management programs to really improve the quality of leadership and management in schools. Yes, that's important, but we need to get the right person hired in the first place. And there's not nearly enough emphasis on appropriate recruitment and really selection and attracting an excellent pool of potential leaders that really have the baseline intent and motivation to be able to fill that position, and the skills that can be developed as well. When we start, and there are some indicators that are pointing towards improvements in teacher quality, but we need a lot more shift on that area. And I think when we start seeing that shifting, that becomes really a key point of hope and encouragement. It's very hard to measure that, and often the learning outcomes lag that change. But the shift in education is a long-term trajectory, and we have to have that in mind, that it's not something that's going to change tomorrow or 5 years' time or even 10 years' time. It's a long-term trajectory, and it's putting the right institutions, capacities in place, systems that really can promote incremental and hopefully exponential improvements in education. It's been done in some parts of the world, and in South Africa itself, I think what's often not talked about is that we've had periods of significant improvements in the quality of education, but coming off from a very low base. So it seems as if we're still doing terribly, and yes, on many fronts things are not adequate enough, but there has been a shift. And we really want to, what does it mean to continue that trajectory, and really not see any kind of tapering off, but a continued trajectory in terms of improvements in the quality of learning and teaching in schools.